Morning, Bounty and Soul Yogis. I'm Vanessa. I'm studying the gentle yoga today. So I really like to do a lot of grounding work. So if you've never taken a class, I also teach on Saturday mornings at 8:30 Central Standard Time. I'm in Texas, and so 9:30 your time if you're in North Carolina or anywhere else. So we're gonna do the yogas. Let's do that, shall we? And if you want to find a comfortable seat, then go ahead. We'll hold your sit bone beside it. I like to say if you always sit with one leg on top like I do, I have to constantly remind myself to switch it up. And what this does is you can even put like a pillow underneath your sit bones, which are your little bony protrusions in your bum. The idea is that the hips are higher than your knees, so that helps the hips open. And I think like it might have to do with one hip being more open than the other, the reason that I put one leg on top. I don't really know, but I definitely am more aware of it now. Now bring your shoulders up by your ears, give it a nice long squeeze, and then let it go down. And you're gonna do that 2 more times. So we're gonna squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. The last time we squeeze, and it might even be longer than you think, because I was reading a really interesting book called The Body Keeps Score. It's how trauma is, what's the word? Trauma in the body and how we can release it and how our body kind of holds on to things. And I had a teacher one time tell me, you know, how when animals, right? Like say have a scare like a deer or something and they like almost get hit by a car and they do that thing where they like shake off. So they kind of like shake the trauma off. Well, as humans, I don't think we learn how to kind of shake it off. So yoga can be our practice to intentionally kind of release some of these things if you need to. So when we hold, and you'll notice that too in massage, right? So when they're really working in there, sometimes you'll have a spontaneous moment of something comes up or you release some type of emotion or maybe you cry, you don't know why, but that's okay. You're in a safe space. And these are all things, I don't question it really anymore. I just kind of go with it and let it happen and feel better after the release and just understand that that's part of the process. So once we have our shoulders down and back, let us bring our shoulders over our hips. So we have a tendency to lean forward in our life. We're driving, we're on our phones, we're looking down, and then allow the eyes to close. And if you can think about just bringing the spine into alignment with the breath, right? So inhale all the way up from the tailbone. And think about coming up to the crown of the head. And so your chin may slightly tuck, and all that does, but we're not like tucking, just drawing in slightly. So there's an elongation in the back of the cervical spine. And then since we're doing grounding practice, we'll bring our palms face down, elbows alongside the body. Inhale fully. Exhale fully. And just start to tune into the rhythm of that breath. So notice if it's a little quick or maybe it's a little too slow, we're waking up. But think about sending that fresh prana or chi, oxygenated blood throughout your body with every inhalation. And as you exhale, just letting go of anything that no longer serves you. So start to come into awareness, just start to observe the breath as it moves throughout the body and just taking note of any places where the breath may feel like it gets a little stuck or taut there. There may also be places that feel really light and easy. You can just make note of that too. And there might be some places that are neutral. But we're not judging or making up any story like, oh, that was my old injury from whenever, we're just coming into awareness, right? And sometimes if the breath gets caught in a space, I like to imagine that wherever it is, like for me today, it's going to be a little bit in my hip. I just like to imagine that little spot that has its own little set of lungs. So my next inhalation, I'm just like creating some space in my mind to that area. And as I exhale, just kind of thinking about using my breath like a broom, sweeping the cobwebs of the corners of my body. Because it's my house, right? So just scanning the body with breath, and we come into the mind and we acknowledge where we're at today, just regardless of what's happened before practice, what's going to happen after practice. And then just like the weather's always changing outside, the weather's always changing inside, right? So I like to think about watching our thoughts in the mind like clouds going by in the sky. So I'm not trying to get attached to any little story or anything like that. And if the mind does like to wander off, and it will, just lovingly nudge your attention back to the breath. It's much nicer to think about your thoughts like a toddler or a little puppy, or if you ever try to wrangle cats, something like that. Let's bring our palms together in front of our heart. Let your thumbs and pinkies press evenly against one another. And let thumbs come into the sternum, but the sternum rises buoyantly back to meet the thumbs. And perhaps in this small little place of your palms, you can set an intention for your practice. And the reason I say this is because setting an intention can be very powerful. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can just be to be present, to be in the breath. But it could also be for love, faith, gratitude, compassion. Just letting it be one word that resonates with you and in your body. So that way, when the mind does wander, you can anchor yourself back with your intention and your breath. So whatever that word is for you, just hold it in your mind and your heart for a minute. Let's inhale together fully. And as we exhale, just follow the mind to the heart, sealing your intention. Release the palms, bring the head up slowly, open the eyes brightly, and we'll begin. Okay, we're just going to start by pressing the palms out, interlacing, and inhaling here. If you need to bend your elbows to make space for your neck, by all means do so as you exhale. Chin to chest, belly button back to spine. Just doing some flexion here. Inhaling, pressing out and up. And then exhaling, curling in. Inhale again. And exhaling. Last time. As we inhale this time, we're going to come into a seated twist. As I exhale, I'm releasing my left hand behind my right hand to my left knee. I forget how it mirrors on here, so it might be the opposite. But what I'm doing from the side, I'm going to show you. I am going to be tensing up on these fingertips here, rolling that shoulder back. Inhaling, finding the length in the spine as I exhale, drawing the belly button back. So maybe the head is the last thing that happens. So what we don't want to do is be cranking with the arms, and we'll just let the twist happen naturally from the belly drawing back. Twists can be really detoxifying, and especially with this full moon energy that we just had, right? We just had a full moon like last week. So we're still kind of in that after effects of those things. I can just kind of releasing. So we're going to keep the twist here, but I'm going to take my gaze forward to that opposite knee, so down. So I'm breathing into this side of the neck here. It's called the scaling. The scaling comes behind the ear and runs all the way down to your pinky. Take a nice big breath. It's creating space. And then as we release, I'm going to take that hand that was helping me twist. I'm crossing it over, crisscross opposites. That's what my teacher would say. And then we curl in here. So we're feeling behind these shoulder blades, behind the heart chakra. If you're not familiar with the heart chakra, in the back body, they say is our past. Sometimes that, and then specifically shoulder blades can be where we hold grief. So just be aware, inhaling, pressing the arms out and up. And then now we exhale, twisting to the opposite side, using those back fingertips to roll that back shoulder. Exhaling, drawing the belly button back, and then allowing the head to be the last thing to go. Now, same thing here, we're going to keep the twist, but as we take our gaze forward to that opposite knee. So now we're breathing into big scaling on the opposite side. Should feel nice. I like to think this helps me with my blind spot when I'm driving or getting out of a parking space, a parallel parking muscle. And then release, curl in. Shake it out. Whew. Yeah. So let's begin by coming into a tabletop position. Just a cat-cow. Now, if you want to Stretch the feet. Like if you're a walker or a runner, or maybe you I used to wait tables for a long ass time. So I'm thinking like I like to stretch my feet a lot. Inhaling here, so I'll keep the toes tucked under, but it will be kind of intense if you decide to add it on. I'll show you what I mean in 1 moment. Inhaling, cow pose. So we're not crunching the back of the cervical spine, but I'm spreading my sit bones wide. Exhaling, pressing actively into the mat. My hands are spread wide. Really feeling it, making this as luxurious as possible. So I'm not locking out my elbows. And the reason is if I don't lock it out, keep a micro bend, this helps take the pressure off the wrist. Another thing that helps take the pressure off the wrist is as I'm spreading my fingertips wide, I'm thinking about squeezing the index and the thumb together, like isometrically. And then that activates the muscles there. Just in case you have any wrist issues, that can always be a problem sometimes. You want to protect everything. Now, the reason we don't want to lock out our elbows is that you'll lose the connection to the earth. And I really love using grounding energy, especially if you know about electromagnetic fields of our own bodies and the earth. There's a really cool documentary called, I think it's called Earthing or Grounding or something. It talks about like walking on the earth barefooted and healing through earth energy. Highly recommend. It's pretty interesting. So now if you wanted to move a little more organically, and what I mean by that is maybe closing the eyes and inquiring within your body how it wants to move. So maybe making circles with your hips here. Maybe you're moving from cow to cat back to child's pose, and that's where the toe stretch would be a little more intense. So you might want to be on the tops of your feet for that. We'll take these few moments to move throughout the body anyway. To well, next time you come to child's pose, go ahead and stay there. If you want to breathe into your low back, keep the knees together. Your forehead may not touch the earth here, and that's okay. But this is a really great low back stretch, creating space. But if you feel like you need to breathe more into your hips and groin today, you can take the knees wide. Press the palms forward. Yeah, your forehead may touch the earth here. And if you want to massage from your temples from side to side, just massaging any sinus stuff that you may have going on if you live in a place with allergies or have allergies. Then go ahead with, if you have your knees together, go ahead and keep them wide. We'll take a wide child's pose. We're going to weave that left arm underneath the right. So we're coming to twisted child's pose. I'm on my left temple. Just breathe. Let your hips be heavy. Feel the support of the earth underneath your body. And notice if you're gripping anywhere in your jaw, maybe in your mind. And then come back. We'll switch sides. So now I'm just weaving my right on your opposite side. I'm on the opposite temple, letting the hips feel heavy. Breathing into the back of the arm. Feeling the support of the earth underneath the body. More release. You come out onto the belly. Making space for your low back as needed. So normally feet would be hip distance apart. But if you have any low back stuff happening, you may want to take your feet wider than hip distance apart. I'm rooting into my 10 toe pads and I'm rooting into my pubic bone. You may or may not be able to see, but my knees are actually lifted off here. You'll notice here that my elbows are directly underneath my shoulders or slightly in front. And I'm going to open my palms parallel here. So I'm in a Sphinx pose. Think about drawing those palms back like they had suction cups and lifting through the crown of the head. Exhale, look over your right shoulder, but draw the left shoulder back. Try not to dip. Usually that's what happens, right? Inhale to center. Exhale over the opposite shoulder, drawing the opposite shoulder back. So you're opening across the chest. Inhale to center. Exhale, squeeze the shoulders, chin to chest, shake it out. And inhale. Sphinx pose once again. Exhale over that opposite shoulder. Inhale to center. Exhale. Inhale to center. Squeeze. Release. We're going to come into what I like to call it lazy abs. So I'm rocking to my left side, so that way I'm facing you. I'm going to bring my heels into alignment with my hips. So what that means here is that I'm using this hand so everything's kind of in a line. And the reason you'll know that you're engaging your abs or not is that if your heels are too much in front, you won't feel like you're doing anything. If they're in alignment, you should have a nice like wobble, right? Like of where I'm trying to keep my balance. You can use this front hand as kind of like a little kickstand, or to challenge yourself, you can bring that top hand on top of your thigh. Oh, engage the abs. Inhale, lift the top leg, flexing both feet. I like to flex my feet because I also feel like it helps me with my balance and engage everything. Exhale. Almost all the way down. Then I go for 5 here. And you'll notice that I'm kind of wobbling back and forth, and that means I am definitely engaging my abs as I try to stay balanced. Oh my goodness. One side might be better than the other. After that last one, we're going to extend that front leg as far as it will go. When it won't go anymore, we'll set it down. Oof. Try to keep that front foot flexed. Now with this bottom leg, I'm going to bend and I'm going to reach back for the pinky side edge of that foot. Now, rolling this top shoulder back, so it's opening the shoulder. Now, I'm kicking this foot that I have into my hand as I'm pressing this top leg away. It's called cat pulling its tail. I don't know if there's an official name. It's more of a yin posture, but it's opening up. Maybe the gaze goes up. Should feel nice. Breathe. And then release. You're gonna roll onto the back and you're gonna rock onto the other side. I'm going to switch sides so my back doesn't to you. And we'll set up our little foundation for lazy abs. I don't know what I call them. I mean, I feel like if you're doing any type of abs, then that doesn't make you lazy because abs are not fun. All right, so heels in alignment with the hips. And as you see, I'm definitely there if I'm wobbling, right? Because it's trying to make a straight line. You're like, ugh. So maybe tenting up on this hand or maybe challenging yourself and putting that hand on top of the thigh, flexing both feet to help. And we'll do for 5. Inhaling, lifting up, exhaling. Slow and controlled. And after this last one, front leg goes as far as it can until it won't go anymore, and we'll sit that foot down, keeping it flexed. Now bending the bottom leg, reaching for the pinky side with this top hand, rolling the top shoulder back, and then pressing your bottom leg into your hand as I press the top foot, this one right here, away from yourself, cat pulling its tail. Breathe, relax the jaw. Roll onto, do we want to roll into the back or to the belly? Let's roll onto the back. Hug the knees into the belly. Inhaling, the knees come away with the palms on top, fingertips pointing to the toes, exhaling. Apanasana. Inhale. Exhale. The next time the knees come away from you at a 90-degree angle, go ahead and open your arms out to a T. Palms can be up, or you could even have cactus arms with the palms up. That's just a little bit more of a shoulder opener. Exhale, drop your knees over to the right. If your arms are extended, maybe your gaze goes over towards that left thumb. I'm using this top hand just to give myself a little overpressure. This can be really nice, especially if it's first thing that you're doing in the morning. Well, stack knees is always the modified version of protecting the low back. So if you had any low back stuff going on, I would definitely recommend doing the stack knees. You can even put a block in between, but you're more than welcome to take a regular supine twist by extending that bottom leg towards that short end of your mat as well. Yogi's choice. Feel the earth underneath your body, and then inhale back to center. Exhale, stack knees over to the opposite side now, extending out through that right arm. Maybe gaze goes towards that thumb, but it doesn't have to. Let your bones be heavy. Notice if you're gripping anywhere in your mind and your body. See if you can release and let go on the exhale. And same thing here. You're more than welcome to extend that bottom leg and come into a more traditional supine twist. Back to center. Hugging the knees into the belly. Rocking gently from side to side. We're going to set our feet like bridge pose. So feet hip distance apart, knees pointing up towards the ceiling. And here I'm going to extend my right leg as I clasp behind the right thigh, keeping the foot flexed, shoulders away from ears, maybe pointing and flexing that foot and rolling the ankle. And here we're going to just warm up the hamstring. Inhaling here, exhaling knee to belly. It's a little bit different than what we were doing, but still moving with the breath. And perhaps the next time that knee comes in, we come into half happy baby. So taking the outer edge of that foot, or maybe even bringing your peace fingers right around that big toe, drawing that knee towards your armpit. But I'm trying to keep the pelvis pretty level here. Relax the jaw. And if it suits you or it feels okay, you can extend that opposite leg along the mat. I like to bring that hand, my opposite hand, on top of that thigh just to root it down and keep my pelvis centered. I'm also noticing on that extended leg, I'm keeping it pretty flexed, like I'm standing on the earth. Continue to. So it's like you're having this, we're using a lot of this opposite action, right? One more breath. Hug it in. Maybe do a little Apanasana here, just to neutralize the spine. And then we'll do that on the opposite side. So now I'm extending my left foot, clasping behind the left thigh. Same thing, pointing and flexing that foot, maybe rolling the ankle. And then as I inhale, extending, exhale, knee into chest. Moving to the rhythm of your breath. And the next time that knee comes in, we'll take half happy baby on this side. So whatever variation you took on that first side, we'll do on here. Relax the jaw, keep the pelvis in neutral. And then if you want, you can extend that opposite leg, keeping that foot active, maybe bringing that Opposite hand on top of that thigh, just to anchor it down. One might be completely different than the other, and that's normal. Go ahead and relax the jaw and breathe. Release. Hug it in. Inhaling the arms away, exhaling. Using the belly for Apanasana. If you want to come into a full happy baby, you can take the edges of both feet. Draw the knees in towards the armpits. And then from here, well, let's hug behind the knees. Give yourself a few spinal rolls, if that's all right with you. I had a little injury a couple weeks ago, so this is probably the first time I've been able to do spinal rock. And then we'll come up into our hands and knees. Do a little cat-cow to neutralize the spine, maybe creating a little heat now, so if you need to drink some tea or some water, by all means do so. And hopefully we're waking up the body now. Inhaling, spreading the sit bones wide, exhaling, chin to chest, belly button back to spine. So I'm extending my right ball of my foot straight back. Now we've already kind of warmed up the back of the hamstring, so now we're warming up the back of the calf muscle. You'll notice that my wrists are directly underneath my shoulders, and the same thing here, we're not locking out the elbow, but I am rocking back and forth just to wake up that the heel, the toes, calf. And then from here, I'm going to lift my right foot. Toes are pointing down. I'm keeping it at hip distance. So, I mean, I could lift it higher, but that's taking my hip out of alignment. You'll notice this bottom foot, my toes are tucked under. For me, that helps me root down, but some people like to stay on the top of the foot here to really root into the top of the foot. Yogi's choice. So I'm thinking about, like, see if I'm just extending my leg and I'm not having it be very active, but when I flex the foot and think about drawing that into a hip socket, now we're in good alignment. We're going to extend the opposite arm. My palm is facing in, but I'm drawing the shoulder blades back, reaching through the crown of the head, some bird pose. So you can stay here, or we exhale, elbow to knee. Now, the modified version is to keep both hands down, knee to nose. Yogi's choice. 2 more. Moving to the rhythm of your breath. And then we'll plant that left hand. I'm going to come into a modified side plank. So now I'm stacking my right hip onto my left hip. My right hand is on my right hip. And you'll notice that foot's turning down, but my toes are pointing forward. It's parallel here. And my wrist is underneath my shoulder on this side, but not blacked out. So this is the modified side plank. Now, feeling pretty good here, maybe you extend that top arm, thinking about squeezing the shoulder blades along the back. Maybe the gaze follows, but it definitely does not have to. Now here in your side plank, if having this bottom foot parallel is too much, you can kind of swing it out to make a little kickstand if that feels better for you, okay? Now, since we were talking about full moons and all that jazz, if you want to come into a modified half moon, this will also lifting that top leg, drawing it in. Oh my goodness, you got it. And then release. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Inhale. Exhale. Let's stretch our wrists before we move to the other side. So I'm sitting here. I'm going to turn my wrists kind of where the fingertips are pointing back towards my heels and my knees, right? Thumbs are wide. Now this is going to be, you might want to walk the hands back a little bit, because what we're going to do is when we sit back, and open the wrists. If it's too much, you get to choose your own adventure here and how much overpressure you want. Breathe. A lot of people are working from home these days, and a lot of people don't have like a proper work desk or proper stuff. This can all take its toll from sitting in just like dining room table or not having your keyboard at the right height, all kinds of things, right? For extended period of time. So hopefully you're taking breaks. We'll come up, and now I'm going to do that, but I'm going to come to the top of the hands. So this might be more intense depending on what you got going with carpal tunnel. Go lightly as you sit back. Ooh, whoa. Yeah, roll out the wrist, shake it out, maybe tap your feet, and then we're gonna come to the other side. So I'm gonna turn around so that way my back isn't to you when we get to that side plank. I'm extending my left ball of my foot back now, and working and waking up the calf muscle. And I'm really thinking about every vertebrae of my toes, reaching out through the heel. And then we'll lift that left foot up at hip height, drawing the hip into its socket, keeping that foot flexed. We have good alignment here. Now extending the opposite arm if you choose, or keeping the hand down, and now we know where we're going, right? Sunbird pose. You can stay just like this if you want, or we're adding on with adding the abs. Exhaling elbow to knee for 5, or knee to nose for 5, your choice, or you're just breathing. Last one, I'm planting my right hand now, coming into a modified side plank. Left hand on the hip, my right hand spread wide, elbow is not locked out. Leaning back slightly because I have a tendency to curl in like we all do. Maybe extending that top arm out, squeezing the shoulder blades back. Maybe the gaze follows, but if it's not okay for your neck, that is okay. And if you're feeling pretty woohoo, and you took a half moon on the opposite side, go ahead and do so here. One side might be stronger than the other. You need to use that back leg like a kickstand. That might make it easier. And for me, it does today. One more breath, release it. Yay, good job. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. All right, I'm gonna turn around so I don't have my back to you. So in this variation, we're gonna inhale the left foot up and back. As I exhale, I'm gonna bring that right foot forward, coming to a little lunge. Fingertips can be on either side. You can also have blocks here. Sink the hips forward, shoulders away from the ears, relax the jaw. Now we're going to give ourselves a lot of space since we're doing gentle yoga. So maybe your hand even comes off of the mat. Right hand comes to the top of the right thigh to take the twist here. Maybe that top arm comes up, but it doesn't have to. You can stay here, or if you want, you can, you know how you reach back for that back foot, you can totally do that same thing here. And then think about that pressing away. So my foot is pressing into my hand, I'm opening the chest, pressing into the earth, everything. Coming up as we inhale, exhale, let it go into the earth. One more breath. Maybe take your gaze down to that opposite thumb. So you're breathing into your scaling and then release. Bring that right hand to the inside of your right foot. You can knife edge out onto that foot if you want to. This just gets more into the inner growing versus if I show you from the front what that looks like. So it would either be like such or like such. Drawing this in is more into the hip and more into inner growing the other way. Oops. On my palms here, iguana pose or lizard pose. And then from here, I'm just going to bring that right foot and walk it over to my left foot, coming into a pigeon. If pigeon doesn't work for you like this, we can always take pigeon on the back, which looks like a figure 4 on the back. Right ankle crossing. Okay, those are your options. The more parallel that front calf is to, or front shin is to your mat, the more intensive a hip opener will be. You'll notice that my back toes are tucked under. For me, this helps me engage my, it keeps me from like compressing in the low back. And then I'm gonna come down to my forearms. Same thing, elbows either directly underneath shoulders or slightly in front. My hands are in a palm shape, and if I can take these 2 thumbs and press them right here where my nose and my skull or my forehead meet, there's a little pressure point here. So if you do have allergies or any sinus stuff, sometimes this can open up the sinus passage. Breathe. Slowly begin to bring yourself up. We're gonna rock our weight onto that right side, or the side that was the leg was bent on, and swing that opposite leg around. I'm gonna face you so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So this foot can either come to the inside of the knee or to the outside. I'll leave that up to you. But what we're happening here is pressing into this front toe pad. I'm gonna hug the shin. So for me, if I'm here, then I'll do the modified version. So I found to have good, very foundation, right? Because I can really root down into this toe, both sit bones on the earth. Inhale here, exhale, take the twist. So maybe the knee comes into the elbow nook here. And the same thing with this backhand, we're rolling that top shoulder back like we did at the beginning of class. Maybe this elbow comes to the outside of the knee. Keep the twist, but take the gaze forward to that opposite knee. So we're breathing into that scaling of the neck again. And then we're going to release. I'm going to bring this top knee on top of the bottom knee, like such. So cow face pose. Now, you can also modify this on the back. So what you do is you just hug these in on your back as well. So it kind of looks weird right here. So wiggle, you'll see me wiggle my sit bones down here, and the knees are on top of one another. Inhale here, or exhale, fold forward at any amount. Now, if you want to add the bind, you could do so. We haven't done a lot of shoulder opening here, so we'll keep it pretty gentle today. So I'm just going to take a regular old forward fold. And you should be feeling this on your outer hip. And he'll bring it all the way up. We're going to release. So you're going to bring your feet here. If you have tight shoulders, you might want to have your thumbs pointing forward and your fingertips out to the side like such. My hands are underneath my shoulders, or wrists underneath the shoulders. You can just be here, opening the chest, or if you want to take a reverse tabletop, you can do that. Inhale. Whoop. Now I like to keep my chin tucked because of the neck issues that I have. But if you have mobility in your neck to take it back, you can. I'm not feeling that today, so I'm not going to do that. I'm laughing because one of the cats that I'm sitting just jumped to the outside of the window. They're wondering why I'm not letting them in. They always want to come and do yoga with me. That's funny thing. All right, we're gonna wrap behind the knees. lurking. Come back to your tabletop position. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. And then we'll extend that left foot up and back as we exhale. Draw the left foot in. And we'll come into our low lunge on this side. Same thing here. Fingertips on either side. Heart moves forward. Sink the hips, relax the jaw. And then give yourself some space. So we're gonna take that right hand off the mat, but still having the palm underneath the shoulder. Well, kind of, yeah. Left hand to the left thigh. Sink the hips forward. We're coming into our twist, maybe extending that top arm up. And the same thing here. If you want to reach back for that back foot, roll the top shoulder and press that foot in your hand. Open it up. Relax the jaw. Maybe smile. As we release, left hand comes to the inside of that left foot. Now we're coming into our lizard pose. So maybe the shin draws towards forearm, or you come into the knife edge of that foot and heart comes forward. Maybe stick your tongue out like a lizard. Breathe. And then we'll take that left foot towards our right wrist. We'll come into our pigeon, or however you modify it on that side. By all means, do what you need to do on this side. Coming down to the forearms, perhaps bringing that those thumbs to that little part here. You can also bring two fists on top of each other and notice your third eye there if that works better for you. Relax your jaw, feel the support of the earth underneath your body. Notice if you're gripping anywhere in your body or mind. See if you can release on the exhale. There we go. Slowly bring yourself up. Rock on to that left side, bringing the right leg around. So I'm going to turn this way so you can see me. I'll take that same modified version. So my foot will be on the inside. Move it to the outside. Rooting down. Inhale, find the length. Exhale, take the twist. Maybe that knee comes to your elbow nook, or the elbow comes to the outside. Keep the twist, but take the gaze towards your opposite knee, opening your scaling again. And then we'll release the twist, bringing the right knee on top of your left knee now, coming into our cow face pose on this side. So wiggle your hips down. Inhale here, exhale, fold forward any amount. And I can already tell this side, I might not be able to fold as forward as much on this side. And sometimes if you have like a pillow or even like blocks to rest your forehead on there, that can be very helpful too. Just anything that when we're lifted up and we don't have anything supported underneath our body, it still allows our mind to grip. So see if you can let go. And he'll bring it up. And then we'll come back into our tabletop. So the traditional pose of tabletop is having your fingertips pressing toward or pointing towards our heels. So if you want to give that a go this time, you totally can. You can just open the chest or press in the feet, reverse tabletop here. You're more than welcome to come into a reverse plank if that's in your practice. That's a little too intense for me this morning. I notice I'm keeping my feet parallel. It's almost like I'm trying to squeeze a imaginary block in between. And then exhale. Let it go. Hopefully you'll be in the middle of your mat now. We're starting to cool down the body. So checking the time. So roll all the way down. Feet hip distance apart, knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Preparing yourself for a bridge. So my palms are going to be alongside the hips and maybe my fingertips graze the heels, right? So sometimes before I even get up in my bridge, I like to interlace behind my head, draw the elbows in, press my skull back, might get a little snap, crackle, pop, and then I walk my shoulder blades away from my hips, just so I have a nice length in the spine. And then here. Now from here, as we inhale, I'm just doing a pelvic tilt right now, and my small of my back comes away from the mat, right? As I exhale, the small of the back flattens against the mat. So this is just a really small movement. So if you can think about when we link the breath to movement, coming from this really tiny space, on your next inhale, press into the feet, lift your hips and your pelvis up towards the ceiling. Bridge pose. Now from here, root into your toe pads. Keep your feet parallel like we were in our reverse tabletop. Now, drop your sit bones just an inch or two, right? And then press back up. So for me, I like really grip in my glutes, so that kind of just lets me not grip there, like consciously ungrip them. One more breath. Exhale, lower everything down. Now, if that made sense, knees together. Let your feet be wide as your mat. Just observe that back bend. And we're going to do that again. So feet hip distance apart, knees pointing up to the ceiling. As you inhale, lift your hips and your pelvis up towards the ceiling. If you want to roll your shoulders underneath and perhaps try to take the bind, you can do that, but you can also bring your palms facing one another and have these little robot arms. That can be very helpful in opening for the chest as well. So give it a go. Maybe drop those sit bones an inch or two, root into the feet, send the knees and the shins forward. But we don't want to be moving our neck from side to side, as the neck is in a very precarious position here. We don't want to jack ourselves up. Exhale, lower everything down. Feet as wide as your mat, knees together. Just observe how that feels. Last one. Feet hip distance apart, lifting up on the inhale, maybe taking a bind. Now, if you take the bind and you're always like struggling to try to get your hands to the earth, one thing that helps me is if I root my elbows down. I think about rooting the elbows to forearms down to the wrist versus just trying to get the wrist down. That will be helpful. Give yourself a nice squeeze. This should feel really good and opening of the chest. Lower everything down. Feet as wide as your mat, knees together. Feel the effects of that back bend throughout your body. Notice the breath as it moves throughout the body. With your feet as wide as your mat and your knees together, keep your feet flexed. We're just going to windshield wiper our knees from side to side. You might feel this on your outer hip. Hands can be anywhere. Then we'll hug the knees into the belly. Apanasana, inhaling the knees away, exhaling the knees into the belly. Now from here, we're going to come into a modified shoulder stand. So I'm going to extend my legs up towards the ceiling. Now for me, I like to take my palms like this, and this little square will be right where underneath my sacrum. So underneath my bum. And then you can point and flex your feet if you need to. You'll notice that I'm trying to draw my heels in alignment with my sit bones. That just makes it a little more active. And to think about all that grounding work that we did coming out the feet, or down the feet rather, to the ankles, to the knees, to the hips, to the pelvis, to the belly, to the heart, to the throat, to the third eye, to the crown chakra. We'll slowly lower everything down. I'm keeping my hands exactly where they are to come into a modified fish posture. So as my heels touch down, I'm pointing my toes, I'm drawing my elbows and my forearms towards one another, pressing into the earth, lifting the heart and the chest. And it's almost like I'm bringing pressure to the crown of my head, but there is actually no pressure there. And my lips automatically purse like a fish, hence the posture. This is really good for your throat chakra, speaking your truth. Exhale. Fog everything into the belly. Inhale, the knees come away from you. Exhale, knees drop over to the right. We're coming into that supine twist, so take your variation as you need. Notice how this might feel different than the beginning of class. Inhale to center. We'll take the stack knees over to the opposite side, or your twist, your variation of your twist here. Relax. Inhale to center. Exhale, hug the knees into the belly. Soles of the feet together, knees wide. Supta Baddha Konasana, or bound eagle pose, or butterfly pose on the back. So here I'm going to think about my knees pressing away from myself, my heels drawing into my growing, my shoulders away from my ears, and I'm unfurling my tail, so my tail is really long, all the way to the crown of my head. And then for our last posture, full happy baby. Now, if there's any other postures that your body wants to do, by all means, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, if you do any type of twisting, you'll want to do something symmetrical like happy baby, Uttanasana, bound ankle pose. And then you'll begin to unfurl out into your final relaxation posture of Shavasana. Now, if being prone on the back is too much for you, you can bring your soles of your feet together, your knees wide, maybe bringing a pillow or something, or blocks underneath your thighs if they're hanging in the air. You can also bring your feet as wide as your mat and your knees together like we did after bridge. This is also helpful for the low back. And then you're more than welcome to also come into seated meditation. Inhale here, exhale. Let it go. Think about your skin hanging over your muscles like a sheet. So softening behind the eyelids, maybe even swallowing, and releasing any tension in your throat and jaw all the way out to your neck, all the way out to the shoulders. Letting the elbows be heavy, wrists, palms, fingernails. Releasing the upper mid, go back into the support of the earth. Releasing your hips and your glutes, your thighs, your knees, your calves, toes, and toenails. Settling into the support of the earth, settling into deeper relaxation with each exhalation. Slowly begin to your breath. Back to your body. Inhaling fully. All the way out to your fingers and all the way out to your toes. Wiggling your fingers. Maybe beginning to make some circles with your wrists and your ankles. Just stirring the body slowly awake. Perhaps inhaling and lifting the hands, interlacing and pressing and taking a nice little body stretch or letting it go with a big sigh. That feels pretty good. Let's do that again. Inhaling, long body stretch, let it go. If you're on your back, you can go ahead and bring your knees into your belly. Give yourself a hug. Rock on your low back from side to side till you rock over to one side and just make a little pillow with your bottom arm. Giving yourself a breath or two of transition. And then using the strength of your arms, you'll press yourself up to a cross-legged seated position, just like we started, hands at your heart, eyes closed. Come back to your intention. Notice if anything shifted for you today. Let's thank our bodies for all the work that they did today. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to honor yourself and your practice. Sometimes it's just showing up is the hard part, right? It is my honor, my privilege to be able to share my practice with you. The light and dark in me sees and acknowledges the light and dark in me. Namaste. Thank you, yogis, for joining me for gentle yoga. I hope that worked and was a little grounding for you for the rest of the week. I normally teach on Monday morning. What am I talking about? Saturday morning at 8:30 Central Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Similar practice. So if you have any questions, you can always hit me up or request any things like that. We also have through Bounty and Soul, we also have Zumba later this afternoon at 3 p.m. And that's Eastern Standard Time. For more information on the classes, it's bountyandsoul.org. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see the rest of you on Saturday. Namaste.